Cool. Hey everyone, it's Avani and Michael from Clique, and we're here with Izzy to talk about her career in A&R and live music. Afterwards, we'll be talking about her company Fame Hackers and how artists can monetize their music and have a sustainable career. Thank you for joining us, Izzy.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited for this podcast.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess just to get started, could you tell us about like your time at Sony and like what label you were at and how you got to that position?
Yeah, definitely. So I think it was about 5 years ago, I actually was working for a label under Sony called Trendef, and what I was doing there, I was A&R, and then I became like head of A&R, and it was actually kind of exciting because I had my own like intern pool and things like that. But um, yeah, one of my biggest things was to like actually scout for talent on social media and then bring them into the studio and then take it from there if it was like worth developing or not. But it was like it was a really really eye-opening experience, just understanding how major labels look at social media and how it plays into like an artist's journey. And yeah, and then it was also really cool getting to like understand the music industry at a different level.
For sure. And I've seen like social media is definitely playing a big role in your career now. But I guess like how did you get into that A&R role to start with? Because a lot of people are like everyone wants to be an A&R, right? But people just may not know how.
Yeah, that's also a really good question. So when I first moved to LA, one of the things that I used to do was like I was a private chef on the side, and like that was actually like my main source of income, and it was like perfect because it's like kind of like gig economy where you control your schedule, so you can go and follow your true thing, which was music. And um and when I was doing that, one of my selling points that I think was that got me hired was that I already understood social media to the point where I was getting enough clients on as a private chef. And like the way that I even moved to LA was because I understood social media to the point that I was able to find a family all the way in Beverly Hills just through social media, and they're like, "Hey, you're hired. Come move here." And so I think that was like one of my biggest selling factors, that I already understood social media. So to them, they didn't really have to teach me much. They just had to teach me what exactly they're looking for.
Word. Yeah. And so like your average day at Sony, like what did that look like? And any daily routines you had as an A&R?
Yeah, so it was the label, which was in West Hollywood, and basically like it was super chill. Usually, um, if I recall correctly, I think it was like 1 p.m. was like start, where you can start kind of showing up, um, and then it was very like I had a lot of like free reign. Like I was able to just go and do my thing. Like I didn't even have to go if I didn't want to, but as long as I was still working from home or working and finding artists, that was the main thing. And I think what actually pushed the needle forward for me was because I wasn't expected to show up every day, and I still showed up. Then I was able to make more contacts, meet more people, and just kind of like stay in the fire and learn like the most everything that I could. I was like a sponge. I was just so hungry to learn. And sometimes like the producers there would be like, "What are you doing here? Like you're free to go home." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, but I just want to see what's going on." And
That's
so
the
yeah.
cool. Yeah, that's the cool part about being A&R is you can really do that from anywhere. So I guess like what was like the best part about that job, I guess? I mean, you were in there every day, so
Yeah, so I think my favorite part was, well, I felt like all of my dreams had come true. One of the things that I really wanted to like do since I was really young was one of the reasons why I wanted to work in the industry. It was kind of superficial, but I was like, it'd be so cool to like know celebrities. And I always kind of like had that vision that like one day I'm gonna be like friends with celebrities. And so then like when I started working there and I started seeing celebrities, I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't real. This isn't happening. And then since I was always like showing up and being like surrounded by other people in the industry, then I made other friends in the industry, and then it started leading to like even like cooler events and things that like when I look back, I'm just like, this is not the average person's life. So I think that was like one of my, like, I guess that was more of a selfish reason of why I even got into it. But just that also goes to show that, as long as you put your mind to something and like actually like believe that it's true, you can accomplish anything. And for me at the time, it was just being surrounded by like people that actually have an influence in the entertainment industry.
Yeah, that's really dope. Definitely being around those people is very cool. I guess, like, could you share any insight for artists specifically who are trying to get scouted by A&Rs? Like, how can they best represent themselves?
Yeah, and that's a really good question. So if one of the things that I would recommend is first, like, understanding, like, take it back to like the very, very foundation of things, right? Understand who you are as an artist, and understand like what like message or what like movement you're trying to create with your music. And one of the most important factors is to actually understand who you're making music for, and like essentially who your ideal. I don't know if you guys have heard of the term like ideal listener or ideal fan or super fan. Um, if you can actually figure that out, then you're gonna be like light years ahead, because this is one thing that, I hear it probably every single day where people are like, a lot of independent artists have these different theories of, I don't know if you guys have seen the Russ, how this thing is going around social media, that Russ like drops songs every single week, and then his like income like 10x or something.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is like, although these things like the factor there is consistency, right? Releasing music consistently. But if you're someone that's just jumping straight into that and you still don't know who you are as an artist, what your sound is, you don't understand who you're making music for, then you're kind of like you're kind of like trying to climb a ladder but starting at the top. And that, is just take a few steps back. It's fine to take, if you want to take like 6 months to figure it out, if you want to take a year to figure it out, there's no reason why you need to push forward like right away. But if you can, step back and build that strong foundation and that understanding, that's going to save you so much time and effort.
Yeah, and Russ is definitely a big provocateur of that kind of consistency thing that he went with. And you're right, it doesn't work for everybody. Like, it's really about finding your sound and your audience. But I think like something that a lot of artists want is those super fans. And a lot of the time it starts with the people around you, but how do you think artists can create super fans?
So the best way to create a super fan is first understand who they are. For example, one of the best exercises that, whoever is watching this video, this is an actionable tip that you can actually do. So what you're going to do is you're going to create an ideal fan avatar. And in general marketing, like in the general business world, kind of like taking one step back. As an artist, you're a business owner, and then your music or your merch, whatever, those are your products. So if you see your music career as from a business perspective, then you have to understand that, like, first comes the business plan, the legalities, all of that. And then after you know that, you know how to attract your customers. And after you know how to attract your customers, which is your super fans, then the next thing you need to do is understand that you have to sell to them. So when you kind of like put it in like a business plan, then it kind of gets a little simpler. So what you're going to do is you're going to go on, if you can't imagine this, just go on your social media, pick 3 people that are super, super, super engaged with your profile. Those 3 people can be like absolute strangers, and it's even better if they're also strangers to each other. So what you're going to do is you're just literally going to like reverse engineer them. You're going to, for example, let's say that you pick, there's this one guy that's always liking and commenting your pictures. Then you're just going to grab his profile and you're going to say, all right, what's his name? What's his age? What's his, where does he live? What kind of job does he have? Around how much money you think he earns? What kind of clothes he wears? Just kind of like analyze him as much as possible. What hobbies does he like? What musics? What other artists does he like? And then you're going to do the same thing with 2 more people. And then when you're done doing that, what you're going to do is then you're going to go through it and you're going to find similarities in each. So this guy might have maybe that he likes to wear like the same brand of shoes that the third person likes. So you start seeing similarities, and then that way you can actually create your avatar. So the reason why you would even start by picking out these people is because if you don't have like the imagination, or if you struggle to imagine what they would look like, you have clear examples of what they look like because they're connected to you. The first similarity that they have is that they're connected to you, and they're perfect strangers. So how did they get connected to you? through your music or through what you're putting out on social media. So so basically, like, if you can then figure out the similarities and from there, like, analyze who they are, then you have this one person that you've created based on all these similarities. And then from there, you just take that person and you name it, you give it whatever name you want. And every time you go to create a song, every time you go to post on social media, every time you go to pitch a Spotify playlister, you think, what does this person that you've created, let's say we call it Joey, what is Joey like? And then for captions on social media, what does Joey need to hear today? Do you think Joey's going to like this song? Do you think Joey's going to like this demographic that I'm going to target with Facebook ads? And that's how you start kind of like being more efficient with how you reach to them.
Yeah, and I think it's important to kind of put that behind the music itself. You want to be honest and like authentic with your music, and then you can kind of see who's reacting to it and who's receiving it the best. But that's good insight for making like customer profiles.
Yeah, and that alone will save you so much time, because then you know who they are. So for example, let's say I like to wear Nikes. Now what you can do, and if you like Nikes too, like, as long as this is also true to yourself, then you can start wearing Nikes in like your pictures, your videos, and just little things like that. They'll pick up on it and they'll like start resonating. And they'll be like, oh, you like Nikes too? I like Nikes. And then just something so small and little can actually seem like so much cooler in their eyes, where they're actually going to like feel compelled to want to know more about you.
Yeah.
What prompted you to go and work with Ultra?
So Ultra, that was actually a really cool opportunity. That one was just like, that was just the power of connection. That was just the power of networking. I had, that year I really wanted to go to Ultra, and then I didn't think about it. The time went on, and then like 2 days before Ultra, like a week before Ultra, I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot about Ultra. I want to go. And the whole week I was looking for tickets, and then like Thursday night, I remember I was like so bummed. I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna go to Ultra. Like, I couldn't find tickets, blah blah blah. And sorry, Wednesday night, because then Thursday I wake up and one of my friends from like, also from back in the day, he was like, hey, I'm working at Ultra. We need one more person. You want to work? I was like, yeah. So yeah, it was like within 24 hours, I got the job, and it was just based on the power of connection and networking. And then I was able to work the whole weekend there, and it was like, yeah, it was amazing.
So what did it look like? Was it what you expected, or?
Oh my gosh, it was like more than more than what I expected. So what I had to do was I actually worked with the Passport team, and the Passport team, they're pretty much in charge of like their VIP, like regular festival goers. And what like my main thing was just to like greet them into like the VIP section. And then in between, like, we had so much free time in between, and there was like, I was with my friends, so it was also like really cool to feel like you're hanging out at a festival and you're just kind of like having to keep control of one post. But then with all the free time that we had, it was really cool because we were also able to go on like the stages. We could go and hang out with like, I have I think the third day was when I had the most free time. So the third day I just went to like every single stage, and it was so cool seeing from like, the DJ's perspective. Like, you're standing right behind the DJ, you're overlooking the crowd, and it was just like, yeah, it was there. That was really unforgettable.
Sounds incredible. And obviously that's a super dope job to be able to be around all these artists you admire. What would you tell someone who would want to work in live events?
If you want to work in live events, well, first of all, it can be like super tiring. When I was there, like just for Ultra weekend, it was like Friday through Sunday, and it was like, I remember it being like 15, 16-hour days. Like, it was crazy. But if you can handle it, then it's fine. I'm kind of crazy like that, where I'm not afraid to work a lot of hours, but yeah, it can be like very tiring, especially around the corner when it's like the show's about to happen.
Right. And to switch gears a little bit to TikTok, with all the news of it shutting down, what's your perspective on how that'll affect artists in the industry?
Well, so there's two things, right? So TikTok is the potential of it getting banned, I think Trump is like pushing for the ban. The last I saw was that like it had 45 days to fix whatever. Like I think what was it, like the data breach. So they had like 45 days. From there, Microsoft is also trying to acquire it. So realistically,
And Twitter now.
Oh, Twitter now? Yeah, and then like realistically, like I can't predict what's gonna happen. I know TikTok is also pushing like constant releases saying that they're trying their best and like they're gonna do whatever they can to not get banned. So if it does get banned, then artists that are on there now, what I would recommend is that you just use the remainder of the time that you have to leverage their algorithm. And while you're posting on TikTok, you also want to be shouting out your other social media. So you're not growing something for no reason. If anything, like you're using the organic algorithm that they have to maximize your exposure, and you're just kind of like going out with a bang, pretty much. You're trying to get squeeze the most out of the app before it gets banned, if it does get banned. And if it doesn't get banned, you just started growing your account, and now you're going to be able to continue growing your account. So it's a win-win.
Right. No, for sure. And do you use TikTok for work?
So I use TikTok like on a daily basis. I don't use it for personal use. I use it more for like whether it's brand sponsorship deals or like influencer marketing campaigns, or the other thing that I use a lot for is for the artists that I work with, staying on top of trends, what kind of content they should be creating. The more I get to know the app, the more I can then help an artist that's trying to figure out how to use it, how to use it more efficiently, and have to like shortcut all the learning curves. So yeah, I'm like very, very active on TikTok.
And how do you feel about Instagram's new Reels feature?
So I was a fan for 2 days. I'm not gonna lie. I was a fan for 2 days. After the second day, I was like, you know what? I don't think I'm gonna like last long here, because the two things that make TikTok super, super important and super like I think addicting is, the first thing is there's actually a study that says that TikTok, the way that their feed is, it's similar to a slot machine. So it gives you like the same addiction that you would if you had like a gambling addiction at a casino. What I like about TikTok is that, it's crazy. It's a study though. What I like about TikTok though is that like, first of all, it's very, very similar to Reels, but you can actually, I don't know. I think it's just like the culture and the style. If you go on Reels, a lot of the thing on Reels is like reposted TikTok, And it's like, why would I watch everything on Reels when I could just go straight to TikTok? And then the other drawback from Reels is that the algorithm is still not TikTok's algorithm. It's still Instagram, who's owned by Facebook, who we all know, or I don't know if you guys knew, but the organic reach isn't really that powerful on Instagram or Facebook. So, the whole point of why I'm such a huge fan of TikTok is because it gives the average person the possibility of blowing up overnight. And, it could be like the silliest video, or it could actually be like a really good song. And before, you'd have to think about a huge budget. But now, if you're good at using TikTok and if you're good at creating content, then that possibility is there.
For sure.
Something I've definitely seen on Reels recently. I mean, it's pretty new, so it's probably constantly changing. But something I noticed is like it's kind of introducing the TikTok layout to an older generation who may not have wanted to migrate over to TikTok because they already had their entire profile on Instagram. So it's interesting how older people are kind of migrating into this new feature and how they're using it for themselves. But again, like, yeah, I think TikTok's going to reign king in the end of the day. I don't think it's going to get banned. That's just my personal 2 cents, though. I guess, yeah. I guess, like, do you have any tips to share for artists, and TikTok included, that are trying to create revenue streams for themselves, and, like, especially now during the pandemic?
Yeah, so for TikTok, so the easiest thing, if you can grow your account, one of the first things you can do is you can actually start getting like brand sponsorship deals. You can partner with like either influencer marketing agencies or whatever it is, like you can actually start getting paid through brands, which that is where the money is anyway. Same thing applies for like sync placement. You want to like kind of like transitioning to sync placements. You kind of also want to go for brands, because if you can get your song placed on a commercial or on a corporate video, you're going to get, first of all, brands have money to spend, they have more money than the average follower. So you want to focus on building it keeping in mind a brand. If you're going to grow your TikTok, the other thing to do to monetize it as well is create like a highly engaging fan base. Again, going back to, understanding who they are and how to attract them. And when you create that like highly engaged fan base that they're just going to want more of you, you can then have other things like a merch line. You can have a Patreon where people pay you monthly. Like there's so many little things that you can then do. But the key thing there is to like, first, before you do anything, you just have to understand who your fan base is so you can attract them.
Yeah, and Patreon's huge. I feel like it's underutilized, especially in this industry. Bandcamp as well, and something that's not talked about much, but I'd like to get your take on it, is email lists. Something that a lot of artists neglect or leave to their management or labels to do.
Yeah, and that's such a good topic. So email lists, I believe in the power of email. I believe that email newsletters or email like campaigns, they're highly effective. One thing that I've noticed also a lot of artists are migrating to, and this was actually a trend at the start of last year. They were predicting 2020 to be like huge for SMS marketing. So I don't know if you've heard of like Community, but a lot of the bigger influencers, a lot of the bigger artists, they are using Community, which goes straight into like your text. You can send out a blast and it goes directly to your phone. So it's kind of like the new wave of like email marketing, because you have direct access. If you send out emails, it's highly underrated. A lot of people, and I hear this all the time, where artists just think like, does Gen Z even want to open my email? Does Gen Z, like Gen Z doesn't even want to see my emails. I don't want to spam people, like all these things. But if you change your mindset on it and say, hey, I'm this artist, I attract these people, and these people want to get more from me, you're now doing a disservice to them by not showing up in their inbox. They're like craving, and the more you can get someone to like crave your music or crave you as like their celebrity, then that's where like also the secret lies in monetizing. Because for someone to first open up their wallet, you have to give them enough reasons why they should even open up their wallet and actually care about you. So a lot of it is just going back to the psychology. Yeah, but if you're on the fence of starting an email campaign, like, you should do it.
Oh yeah, totally. It's definitely huge. One of my teachers at NYU, Emily White, she has a book out about sustainability in your monetization strategy, right? And like her number one thing is email lists, and I mean it shows that how successful those are. And also, a lot of people are using these new text features as well, and I think that's going to be a big disruptor in that. But I think as Gen Z gets older, they're going to keep going back to email. It's just more professional.
For sure. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I guess like just to switch over to talking about the fame hackers, like what's the vision you see with ahead of that? Like,
so the fame hackers is basically a program that I created. When I was working at the label, one of the things that I realized was social media plays such a huge factor, and then it was just like through a whole journey that I went through that I end up having like the aha moment of, you know what, we live in a day and age where artists can actually do this for themselves. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a team, or yeah, it'd be nice to have the backing, but in general, before a label actually like pays attention to you anyway, you already have to be somewhat relevant in the music world. So at that point, it's like when you're trying to get signed somewhere, it also boils down to like what matters most to you. For example, if you've already, or like I'm the type of person that believes that if I've already built something 75% of the way, why would I now give away ownership, like percent of ownership or whatever it is, if I'm like 25% of the way away from reaching the final goal? And it's doable. It's not like crazy. Like, okay, when you are, 75% of the way, now at this point you're making enough money. You can hire a team. You can hire a social media person. You have full control of your music. So why would you give that up? And then like that's when I realized like there is no clear path. Everybody has a theory. Everybody has a thing of how it works or whatever it is, but it really just boils down to 4 things, which is the acronym for FAME, and it essentially means like foundation, audience, monetization, and exposure. So it basically means if you have a strong foundation, then you can attract the right audience, and then you create offers for that audience to buy, which is monetization. And then all you need to scale FAM, you just need exposure.
Yeah, I guess so. Where does Fame Hackers come into there? Are you like full service from F to E basically, or you focusing on one of those specifically?
So, well, I do like it's more like on a consulting basis where it's just kind of like optimizing each step. You know, there might be some artists that have foundation and audience figured out, but they have no idea how to monetize, or they're just not comfortable or confident to monetize it. It really just like what I do is I create a following those 4 pillars. I create a strategy per artist that I work with. So that way it's like super personalized and we know exactly what we need to do in order to achieve the goals that they're reaching for.
That's cool. And just for like the people watching, is there any specific type of artist that should come to you, or are you open to like producers, anybody?
Yeah, so it's basically at this point is if you understand like what it is you want with your music. I think that's the biggest thing, because if you don't even understand what your goals are, what it is you're trying to accomplish, then it's a lot harder for me to like tell you what to do. And you know, it doesn't even have to be you know, you don't have to be at a certain place with your social media. You don't have to be anywhere. As long as you're willing to actually take your career seriously, then I'm open to talking to you about it. I'm open to like, you know, just having a chat with you and figure out if there's anything I can tell you right off the bat that you should start working on right away.
Dope. Awesome. Yeah, well, I just want to thank you for coming and doing this with us. To everybody watching, if you want to check out the Fame Hackers and get started, you can see you can see down there. That's the @ on Instagram, and we'll have in the description the link to their website where you can actually get a 30-minute training on the 6 shifts that you can make right now. I think that'll be a good place for them to start off with your brand.
I think so, yeah, and that is like that's also another short thing. It's like 30 minutes and it's actionable tips that you can take right away. So definitely check it out, and thank you guys for having me here. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thanks. All right, peace everybody.
Bye.
Bye guys.